Well, Bronson, I appreciate you being here, man. This is you're getting to be a regular here.
I see. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you and all that you do. And but anyway, we're talking about I know you follow city politics and as well as everything else, and I catch a show in the morning when I can. And,
okay.
But anyway, let's just go over the committee of the whole stuff. That was really the bulk of Monday's what I would consider real activities. I mean, we had some business that we took care of in the meeting, but the reality of it is most of it was on the bid box for the transportation and whatnot. And, we were talking a little bit before we started rolling here today, but so basically it was two different software programs, one for $1 million over a 5-year period of time. Now, $1 million sounds crazy, but when you say over 5 years, it's not as bad.
Right.
And the other one was $500,000. And the only difference that I can tell is that you can track the bus, sort of like Uber. I can see the car coming, how far away it is, all that kind of stuff. That was the added benefit. And I asked what the difference was. And I didn't really feel like I personally got a satisfactory answer from a value add standpoint. Now, it may be awesome. And it may be worth every penny of it. And as everybody reminds me, I don't get a vote, so I don't know that really matters.
You may in some cases, right?
Well, I only had one time. One time I voted.
What was the issue?
Well, it's funny. It was over a cell tower lease.
Okay.
At the water tower.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
And it was odd. It was Councilman Knight and Councilman Daltridge, and they both kind of shifted their votes. And we were down a man somewhere along the way. And
okay.
Anyway, it got down to I was voting on whether or not we're going to renew a lease that we've been doing for like 20 years.
T-Mobile was on. Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, really? This is what I get to vote on. This is my legacy. This is my legacy.
Yeah, legacy vote. We still got time to make some more votes.
There you go. Well, you got 3 years. We'll see what happens here. But anyway, the bid box. And so, whether we do that on the fixed line, and then a lot of conversation really ensued on the micro transit thing. So I think that's going to show up on a committee of the whole. And I'm pretty excited about that because I really think that we need to drill down on that. This is not what we're talking about, but in particular, the proposal is to keep the fixed line where we have ridership up.
Right.
And then where we don't, go to that point A to point B micro transit solution. I think that kind of defeats the purpose for me. Because you're putting it, what ends up happening is you're putting it in more affluent areas, an Uber-like service. And really the point is if I'm in a less affluent area, I want somebody to be able to have more efficient transportation, more reliable transportation to be able to function better in their life. Kind of counterintuitive, but anyway, I just think we need to talk about it. It'll be interesting to see what all the opinions are on the board because I really haven't polled anybody on that. But,
okay.
But anyway, the other thing we really talked about was, and so what were your take homes on that? I'm sure you were watching it. I mean,
the bus situation. Yeah. I think change is always good in most cases, right?
Most cases.
And so just the application of the facts, right? And so how people, you can get the end user experience if you're doing those surveys and kind of figure out what's working, what's not. And so again, when I look at where buses went yesteryear to where they are today, is definitely an advancement, right?
Sure,
so
that's
there's always been some progress.
That's right.
And I think people are not gonna like everything, but again, you get a little bit this, a little bit of that, and it makes it work.
Well, what I found is that somebody doesn't like anything. They just rotate. The groups rotate, but I seem to get the steady diet of it. So it's just how that has translated over the last couple of years. But anyway, so we talked a lot too about the strategic plan.
Yep.
And so just to give everybody a little history on that, because I'm not. I think everybody should be focused only on city Rocky Mountain politics, but as I talk to people, I realize they really don't, and not really a whole lot of people care really the other day. But we signed that contract, got executed. It was like $800,000-$900,000. Some community engagement has already started to occur.
Sure.
I mean, I think we're kind of well into the process. And council just said, hey, wait a minute, time out. We don't really think we know what this is about. It's a comprehensive land use plan, which is important, we need. But how does that look relative to a strategic plan? How do we get council involved in terms of trying to set a strategy? And then how do we get community input on terms of what that should look like and how can we, take the pulse?
Sure.
At the end of the day, we're all representatives. So there was a lot of conversation on that. A lot of conversation, and I was kind of surprised at it. Well, a little bit I was.
Okay.
Well, what was your take on it? I mean, you're sitting there watching it, and
for me going back here, I've always thought that the city updated a comprehensive plan.
No question.
When I look at the Microsoft Word-based layout of the 2003 plan, and saying that, hey, Rocky Mount's going to have 100,000 people by 2025. That's right around the corner, right?
That's right.
And what have we done to do that? And I think, for years, although they had these ratio plans and corridor studies and this, they really hadn't updated that plan. People have come to city council meeting and saying, hey, where's your comprehensive plan? It is up there, but they look at that and say, this can't be it, right?
Well,
and so, I think had the council been doing an update every so often, this wouldn't be brand new. It's like it's brand new to a lot of folks, right?
Well, it does feel that way, but it's not. But, and you bring up a great point. So North Carolina Preservation is doing their annual meeting in Rocky Mount this week.
Okay.
And I just had an opportunity to welcome them right before I came in here.
Nice.
And got to sit on a panel. And one of the things that came out, at least in that one discussion that I was part of, was the need for a comprehensive and strategic plan, because what it does is it sends a signal to those who want to invest in our community.
Absolutely.
That these are the areas we want to see this kind of thing done. You're going to have the support of the city council. You're going to have the support of the city staff. And that's important because, you're in business.
And community too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the stakeholders. And you're in business. Anything you can do to de-risk your situation is what you need to be doing.
Absolutely.
And so the last thing you want to do is be John the Baptist, out there in the desert screaming, and nobody else is doing it, and you're not getting any help, right? You want to go where the Spirit's moving.
Exactly.
And that's really what this entails. And it sounds like a lot of money, and it is a lot of money, quite frankly. But the impact of that, the return on that, I think, could be large.
Especially if I don't do it again in the next 20 years.
Well, right. Well, I can promise you this. I don't plan to be participating at that level in 20 years.
The last one was done in 2002.
Something like that.
They adopted in 2003. And so, but yeah, I think we do need that comprehensive plan, right? That is going to tell people where to go. When you look at other cities and towns, they're doing it. And the state law kind of requires you to, right? So you tie everything back to it. When you're voting on land use changes, you're saying, hey, according to our comprehensive plan, this fits in what we said was happening, right? But you do make some zoning changes because of it's kind of outdated, right? So
I get that. Yeah. I get that too. Absolutely. I think you're right, for sure. The other thing I was talking to somebody is that the COG also does a plan. This ties to a lot of money. We need to be constantly refreshing it for sure. And I think we're going in the right directions. But it's going to take 8 months or so, plus. So just where you're what would you like to see? I mean, that was the question that was posed to me that kind of ties to this conversation today. What do you want downtown Rocky Mount to look like? And why is it important?
Sure. Yeah, it got to be active. I think that when you go to different cities and towns across this country, you see a more robust downtown than what we see in Rocky Mount, right? But do we see trends of going in there? Absolutely. You look at the Duke's organization that is making investment in downtown Rocky Mount, right? And I think this is his first time coming to the city for some kind of support, because I think the other two did.
The other two he did it on his own. He had the whole capital stack and made it work. And but I was glad to see that.
Absolutely. And so that has changed what Grace Street looked like. And really, Sandy, I think that we have not broadened our downtown. I think a lot of people think downtown is just Main Street.
Right.
So when you go to Raleigh, downtown is not just Salisbury and all the Jones Street, whatever.
That's right.
And so it's a couple of blocks, even in Wilson, et cetera. So I think we really got to redefine our boundaries of downtown and make that, hey, this is our downtown district.
Right.
So that people can really say it's beyond that. And then they see stuff happening on Church Street, or see stuff happening on Gray Street. Oh, downtown is moved. Because when you start looking at all the things beyond just Main Street, there is activity downtown. Maybe not enough that people would like, but I think it is enough. I mean, not enough, but it is certainly growing. But again, how do you be sure that people are, one, using those incentive grants downtown, that they're actually realizing, using, seeing that return on investment? Because maybe there might be some situations not quite working like it needs to. I think that program got to get like a little facelift, so to speak, right?
No, I got it. Well, how about an accountability? That's really what we're talking about. Making sure that if we give you the money, that you're fulfilling what we're trying to get done. In this case, it's housing downtown, and we need it.
Absolutely.
Until you have people, you're not going to really have that bustling activity. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? The people or the commercial? I don't know. And I think it's got to happen simultaneous. But
it does. You're thinking about chicken, I'm thinking about butter, that oftentimes you take a little piece of butter and try to spread it so thin that then it becomes ineffective, right?
Well, you're right.
And so how do we look at targeted blocks maybe downtown and say, okay, let's just define this, right? And then let's move here. It's because you don't have but so much money. to deal with, right? And so I think we'll probably get the most bang for our buck if we start looking at targeted things. Then you get into conversation of, well, how do you choose this block over that block? And then
well, I know that gets a little. It can be aggravating.
Yeah.
And rarely is there a hidden message or agenda,
Right.
but sometimes there is, right? So, but you're right. I mean, how do you do that? And it's about the private investment. The city does not have enough money to do it.
Absolutely.
Unless we all want to start paying taxes, and I think, and then I don't think anybody really wants that, but.
And some communities have, downtown special district taxes.
We do too.
Right?
We have one.
And it is a small, though, is it?
It's 20 cents per 100. And, well, it didn't feel small to me when I just wrote the check. I don't know what you're calling small, but
well, you must got a lot of footprint down here.
More than I want. More than I want to pay for it.
I got you. And those things are important. But again, you got that mixed use development going on there, where you got people living on top, business down the bottom.
Right.
How do you get maybe a grocery store downtown would be kind of cool. And where do you get gas from?
Well, that's the key.
Right.
See, the key is that commercial space. I can't find a senior lender to loan money on it.
Okay.
Retail's done. How do you get those businesses or businesses that can rent that space for something? It's just something. And to create that comp so that banks will loan money on it. So like, you get the apartments upstairs, they'll loan you money all day long on that. Won't bat an eye. But that downstairs, unless you're doing something with it, is virtually worth nothing to the bank
until you make it. Yeah,
until you make it something. Yeah,
I get it. And speaking of that downtown piece, there was one time a conversation about a relocating the judicial center.
Yeah,
and that kind of wherever it is, hanging on the wall somewhere or some sticky note. But I think that would give some type of, and people argue to say, well, it's not doing anything on Cookie Road. How is it going to be beneficial downtown? But I do think that the judicial center where it is right now is kind of misplaced, right? Ideally, when you got that money from Raleigh, that $8.5 million.
That's right. That's right.
One time PNC was looking at selling their building.
That's right.
Why not outfit that as
so PNC has sold their building.
They done sold it already.
They've sold it already.
Wow.
My understanding is probably not ready for prime time, so I shouldn't talk about it. But I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
But they've sold it. It's going to move. But back to the courthouse.
Okay.
You're right. It doesn't seem like it's helping Cookie Road. But here's the thing: if you're trying to create critical mass, you need customer count and you need people there. So you have people coming to the courthouse. It's a convenience court.
Sure.
And we're not talking about, folks that were sent to the death chair, to the execution. It's just basically simple stuff.
Exactly.
But there's more people downtown, more people to go to the restaurant, buy a cheeseburger or a hot dog, more people to, if there's a grocery store, to go to the grocery store, just more people.
Exactly.
And so it's no one thing, but it adds to the total. And so I see that as great value. We had begun to assimilate land, and we have assimilated that land. But, the estimates to build the courthouse are just really, 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 really prohibitive right now. We did get money from Raleigh, $8.5 million. Some of that is to go to affordable housing, and some of it's to go to the courthouse.
Right.
But it's still probably $10 million short. And I've gone to Raleigh, tried to see what we can do, but the days of those big windfalls, I'm afraid, are gone.
Okay.
Unless the state of North Carolina legalizes medical cannabis and gaming. If they do that, then I think we'll see that again. There's hope. And if not, then we're going to have to either go up on the taxes again or reshuffle the debt.
Sure.
Or have some other conversations, or vouchers really where we want to be spending $1.2 billion a year or not, those types of things. Fortunately, I don't have to deal with that, but I do think the courthouse needs to come down, and I do think that it would add value. And I don't think it is in and of itself the one thing that makes it happen. But I mean, I don't know how many cases they see or how many people go through that on a daily basis. But I've got to imagine 100 people, 200 people, attorneys, bailiffs, people working for the court system, and they're all buying something somewhere.
Right. And I think you have other agencies that are there too, right? I think you have probation that's there. And so you have some other feeder things that go on there. And then you just have people who maybe picking up a simple estate piece of it. I don't know if they do that in Rocky Mount now, but I know it's Tarboro National they do. But whatever other kind of facility or service they have is there. So it's not all about criminal prosecution and throwing people in jail, right?
No, that's right.
Sometimes it's just relief. Maybe I need to take a restraining order on somebody because they are having a hard time, right? So you have that convenience of being right down on Cookie Road. So
I think it would clean it up. I think it would clean it up. And the other thing I think, so everybody says, what are you going to do with Cookie Road building? I think that'd be great is housing.
Housing.
I mean, it's got a lot of land back there. I think it would be fantastic, and it's not far from downtown.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I'm always crying for a resource center.
well, and I think we need those too. But that kind of came out last night too, or Monday night was, hey, look, we got a lot of stuff. Maybe we just need to repair what we got,
Sure.
and before we start adding new shiny things that we have to add to our maintenance piece. But anyway, so they got the police report as well, and crime was down slightly quarter over quarter, but what we're seeing is an increase in property crimes, and so not anything to celebrate, but I am celebrating the violent crimes are down.
Absolutely,
and I do feel like the morale of the police department feels better when I'm talking to officers, when I see them out and about. I'm seeing them out and about.
That's right. You can't help but see them.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. Because I remember one time you may not see nobody.
Oh, hell no.
So now you see them and they're readily available. And, they're nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the end of the day. So I think that the training that they're getting and undergoing, the sense of community is real. And it's not just a thing that's just puffed up, but it's actually a lived in experience that they have there with the agency.
Yeah, and so anyway, we've got them all full. That's good.
Yeah.
Now, so anyway, that's exciting. We've gotten, so we got to deal with compression at some point, but I think we got to wait through where we are in our budget and just getting all that stuff tightened up, and hopefully we'll have that next month and we'll be able to look at that.
So you talk about compression and payroll, and so how is it that people don't realize that the sanitation workers did get some raise?
All right. Well, I have not really gone out on record much, but look, they've gotten a great raise. They got a great COLA. The truth is, the market would dictate if I really felt like I was underappreciated, I could go somewhere else. There are private trash companies out there. If I'm stuck in the trash business, right? There are other municipalities. We pay pretty damn well.
I think so.
For the job relative to other municipalities in the state and even private enterprise. So I'm not seeing a lot of complaints. I'm not hearing a lot of complaints. It feels like largely a manufactured issue to me.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any evidence to the contrary. It would suggest something else. And we'll give them another increase. And we've created ladders where folks are able to advance and achieve different, a little bit of upward mobility as it relates to pay.
Right.
And that seems to be working pretty well. That's something that Manager Rogers really had put a little focus in on. And I think that's something we're seeing a good outcome from. And I think we need to, say kudos where the kudos is. And I think that was something that really, really has worked. And I'm excited to see it. So no, they've gotten a lot of money.
And equipment is pretty good, right?
That's right.
So they're not hang out the back of the trash trays, guys, these one-arm bandit type situations.
No, like the old days. Well, I mean,
and they got AC. They just have that too, right? So
and heat. I mean, it's not like it used to be.
Absolutely.
It's not like when I was a kid. You had 3 guys out hanging on the back of the truck.
That's when it was cool too.
It was kind of cool though. I mean, So, but anyway, so that's where we are on the police report. Property crime is up, but I do see engagement, and we are going to deal with compression. But look, compression happens all the time.
Sure,
everywhere. I mean, it just does. It's unfair, but it is. And then, of course, we talked about Douglas block leases, which was interesting. Man, you and I were talking a little bit beforehand. I didn't realize how much commercial real estate we had and housing that we had. I think the report. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. Look at there.
Right to it.
Right to it. How about that? We have. That's not just our total apartments. If we have full occupancy, is $46,860 on an annual basis. So, and at $488 per month. And then our commercial space, if full occupancy is $160,000, we have about half of that.
Okay.
And I think the challenge, or at least where Peter is going with this and Grand Experiment, is we've subcontracted that out for years and years and years. He just feels like it'd be more effective if we took that over, internalized, and managed those properties ourselves. It's not a decision I would have made because ain't nothing fun about that. Being charged with leaky faucets and all, but somebody can do it. People do it, right?
They do. Sometimes I hear the conversation that government shouldn't be competing against private sector when it comes to housing, and And I differ from that because when private sector isn't doing what they're supposed to do, then I think it is government's responsibility to step up.
Right.
And the city obviously has done it and continue to do that. And even when, I guess when it comes to commercial enterprising, as well as one thing that I see counties do is they're building these shell buildings and getting economic development coming in. I wonder.
Nash County's been very successful at that.
And Rocky Mount should be.
Well, I mean, the Gateways Partnership has been asking for it for years and years and years. And just, we're a collective of several different jurisdictions. And so I don't know really where the rub has been on that. And just on that side, I mean, it is working for those people. But if I'm building a large industrial center, I mean, I don't know that it's like a show house. I walk in and say, "Oh my God, I love the bedroom, love the layout." I mean, I think I've got my own specific, unique needs, and I don't know how you just that one size fits all. But clearly, it's working for Nash County.
Yeah, I think they're on the third or fourth one or something like that.
Yeah.
And so that turns their property over from no longer being a non-taxable piece to taxable revenue and create jobs at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And on that note, it looks like we had some discussion about the water and sewer. The city of Rocky Mount has made I don't know if it's a formal policy or not, to be honest with you. I think, but we have said basically, look, we're not going to offer water or sewer to anybody unless they become annexed into the city of Rocky Mount. And that's got all kinds of historical context.
Yeah.
But there is a park up there where the Cheesecake Factory is, Ellis Tractor, McLean, that we had put together a long time ago with the county, Nash County in this case. And we said, look, we're not going to annex this into the city, but we are going to provide water and sewer. Now, the water and sewer rates are about double what we pay if you live in the city. And so the question was, well, do we make an exception here to this policy that we have? And while there's no formal agreement, there's been a gentleman's agreement as it relates to how we're going to treat that the Whitaker's Park, basically. And so the decision was, well, let's just continue on with those pieces of land. Apparently one's under contract. Hopefully that'll create some more jobs. And I'm always impressed when I drive up there. There's a lot of manufacturing up there, that I don't think people really fully appreciate.
And eventually, I guess, throughout the years, we'll really get some more even exposure from that.
Natron or?
The CXX.
Yes, intermodal, for sure.
Yeah.
For
and
sure.
then the highways changing, all that kind of stuff.
For sure. Yeah, coming off of Gold Rock and that whole area. So anyway, I just thought those were interesting developments. I'm just happy to see when government kind of works. It moves at its own slow pace. It's not in any hurry to get anywhere, but at least it's moving.
Absolutely, it is. And then I'm thinking that you got an update on capital.
Oh yeah,
that was a long presentation too, I guess. But you saw how much stuff you've been doing.
Well, that's
the
right.
thought was, hey, nothing's going to accomplish. Then you got to find, hey, you've been doing a lot.
Yeah, and well, I think what was important about that is that we didn't really do a CIP update this past year as part of the budget.
Okay.
And I'm not really sure why. I don't know that it was intentional or not, or that it was rolled up, but regardless, nobody really knew what was going on. But it is amazing when you see all the things that we've been doing. But there's still a lot of things that need to be done.
Sure.
Of course, we got to figure out what all that looks like and move forward. But, the committee of the whole was a good solid 2 hours, 3 hours. And, say things that you want to about Peter Varney, but you can't say that he is not willing to almost over-communicate everything to everybody.
Yeah.
He is not holding anything back.
That's right. That is true.
And I told him the other night, because we moved the meeting from the 11th to the 24th, the committee of the whole after the meeting, canceled the regular schedule meeting.
Right.
And I'm thinking, oh Lord, I don't like that. That's like giving somebody a blank check, because there is no stop to it.
Oh yeah, midnight. It's good.
It might be midnight.
Okay.
Well, if it's got to be done, let's get it done. But
and the school system years ago, they used to stay until 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night. When it was National Record Mile at that time, but I don't know if they do now. But they used to stay long.
Well, that's how you wear people down. Don't feed them. Turn the heat up or the air down or whatever you're going to do. One thing that I thought was really kind of cool in the actual meeting, we got to celebrate the 12U basketball team winning the state championship. Our Parks and Rec department have really put together some great programs: baseball, softball, basketball, football. I mean, we've got some great little athletes out there that are doing some wonderful things, and I just love it when I get a chance to celebrate that.
Proclamation, absolutely.
Yeah,
good. And I think Councilman Walker mentioned someone being the president of some organization as well.
Well, yeah,
a lot of talent at Rocky Mount.
Well, I didn't realize that either. He's at School of Science and Math.
Okay.
And
youth council, something like that.
That's right. And so, very impressive. I wish I had known that before. I would have given him some props, or maybe a something. I don't know.
Still got time.
Still got time. That's right. He's young. But anyway, then we had the consent agenda, which really was just cleaning up some stuff. We did table the lease on the restaurant Yaba, which was the old G-Chill spot, and so it'll be interesting to see when that comes back up for a vote. But it's on the table. Somebody's gonna have to pull it off the table, and I'm not really sure all the issues with that. I think it's just maybe we're trying to refine the lease and understand exactly where we are. We did give away a fair amount of money to several not-for-profits, and I think they're all doing good work. So I don't want. I think they're all doing good work.
Yeah.
We did have the proper recusals, from all the different council people.
Right.
I did miss TJ Walker but he pointed it out, and I was grateful for him. And I don't know which board he's on. I don't know how I missed that. Maybe
United.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. But anyway, so we got all that done, and then we were able to adjourn the meeting. I was pretty daggone excited about that. I mean, that just tickled me to death. A couple of memorandum of understanding, because we've added some property that Sports Facility Management is managing. One is the Booker T Theater, and the other is the new church, Tri-Faith.
Right.
And so what they were saying to us is that, look, the event center is great, but it's a pretty high cost center, and not everybody can afford it or wants to afford it. But, the theater represents a lower cost center, as does the church. And sometimes we have events that really would fit those spaces, and we'd like to manage it.
Okay.
I thought that was a great addition. And I think that will add a little bit to our repertoire of various things. In fact, the preservation thing was actually at the Booker T. Washington Theater, and I think they're moving around different parts of town. But, that didn't get a lot of press.
Yeah. So the thing is, when you start accounting for those revenues, is it going to be bucketed under the event center's revenues as well? Because then it was revenues, I guess, that was then came up in the budget under Parks and Rec, and so now is it going to look like some increased activity that is pointed to the event center itself, and it's not actually from.
Well, I do imagine that it will be separated, itemized.
Okay.
I would imagine that would be the case, and I do imagine that it would be rolled up in that. The other thing I think, though, is. Look, I mean, Joel does a great job, Parks and Rec.
Sure.
I can't say enough great things about our city's team, really, truly. But one thing we don't do well is, having to manage facilities like that, set up, take down, whatever. I am more than happy to let SFM get their piece, their vig on that, just to manage it. And I think they've done a great job at the event center. I think David is a great representation of that. I think he's doing phenomenal work there too. And
he's local.
And he's local. Well, it matters. It matters.
Yeah.
It does matter.
And they tried 2 people from out of town, and they didn't work. So local, he's been there for a while.
It matters. Well, he understands. He understands the culture. He understands what drives it and how we make it work.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's about relationships.
Clearly.
And he's willing to put the time in to build relationships where he doesn't have them. And where he does, he's willing to utilize those to the benefit of the city.
Absolutely. And then the meeting was canceled. I think the city council's going somewhere, is it?
No, on the 11th, it just happens to be Memorial
Day. Okay. Not Memorial Day. Veterans Day.
Veterans Day. 11/11/11. That's right. That's right. So that's what that was about. And then the next day, a lot of people on council are going to the National Leadership Conference in Tampa.
Okay.
And apparently the city's going to get some award. I'm going to miss that trip, but and I'm like kind of surprised they're having it in Tampa.
Okay.
After the big old storm came through.
That's true.
But apparently it's on.
Okay.
Well, look, Bronson, we're already out of time, but I thank you for your time and coming here. And it's always a pleasure.
Likewise.